guys, what is up? How are you today? I come to you yet with another weekly review of Tanaka-kun is Always Listless. And in this week's episode, episode 6, we have where Tanaka is actually sick. And that should be no surprise to anybody, seeing as how he's so lazy that he cannot take care of himself. And I worry for him in the near future if he decides to live by himself. So in this episode, Tanaka gets sick because he finds umbrellas to be very troublesome. So it's raining outside, and Tanaka thinks that he can somehow, while the rain wasn't pouring too hard, he thought, okay, I can manage to get myself to school without using my umbrella. And eventually, even when it's downpouring very hard, Tanaka still walks through the rain, despite having an umbrella in his hand. And then he comes to school soaked to the bone. And then the next part is where he tries to dodge the rain droplets that's coming from the sky, thinking he's some type of superhuman, that he can just dodge every single droplet of water that's coming from the sky. And I'm like, no, Tanaka, it's not possible. You're human. You're the laziest human to date, and you cannot escape every single rain droplet. And eventually he gets soaked again, and then we see him trying to stand outside again. He's like, if animals are able to evolve over time, then so can humans. So if I stay outside long enough, I may be able to create a barrier where I don't have to use an umbrella anymore. And I mean, like, if that doesn't signify how lazy Tanaka can get just to not use an umbrella, there are times where umbrellas are troublesome. Like, sometimes you do forget them. He made some points which are actually true. You sometimes do forget your umbrella, or sometimes some people do take it, they mistake it as their own, or like it's too troublesome to always be opening it and closing it because sometimes the handle is wet. So he did make some actual points, but at the same time, they're there for a reason. They were created for a reason, to shield you from the rain. And if you're too lazy to be able to use it, I don't know. I don't know what to say after that. That's the ultimate laziness, and it probably can get worse than that. But to not protect yourself from the rain and then get sick after it. He tried to find various ways on how to communicate with his classmates, whether it was writing on paper or trying to speak, or like, in Japan they wear like those medical masks over their face so that nobody else can get sick. And Tanaka is trying to communicate with Ota even though his mouth was covered. And the scariest part about this episode was when Tanaka was over having that cold of his personality changed. So they had to wait for quite a while till his personality came back. He actually was more he was more of a chipper person. He was more happy, and he was able to express himself more. And the reason for that is because he was making so much weird faces when he was having the mask that nobody can able to see him do it. So when he doesn't have the mask anymore, he starts to unconsciously start making up all these faces. And I thought for a second his whole personality changed. I'm like, hold on, you would have thought his personality would have took the turn for the worse when he was sick. You mean when he's not sick, his personality would take the turn for the worse? And then we come to it's not a second part, but it's continue on from when Tanaka was sick. When Tanaka asks Echi-san, she comes back into this episode, he asks her to, when he wrote down a notepad, that if she can change her name to either his last name Tanaka or to Ota's name. That's their surnames. We don't know their first names. And she's going in a frenzy because she's like, do these guys want to marry me? Because usually when you're marrying, a male or female's marrying, the female will change her surname to the male surname. So she's growing frantic, and she doesn't know who to choose between the two. It's either Ota, who is reliable and will take care of her, or Tanaka, who is unreliable and can't take care of nobody, and you will suffer. You will suffer unless he decides to change who he is when he grows older. And it was a very funny second half because Echi-zen is all over the place, and she doesn't know who to choose until they revealed to her, saying that the reason why they told her to choose either their last names was because Tanaka found it too troublesome, and because he was sick, he found it too hard in order to write her last name. So that's why he gave her those two options. But they gave her a new nickname, which is Ek-chan, and that's the same nickname that Miyano likes to give her all the time. So Echi-san you're not gonna change your last name to become someone's wife. But it was very funny to see her in that predicament as someone who's always having this kind of toughish facade, this toughish outer appearance, and to see her act very girlish when asked in the possibility of marriage and changing her last name for someone that she may end up liking. So that was a very funny part of this week's episode. So if you saw this week's episode, tell me what your thoughts were on it. Were you kind of freaked out on how Tanaka kind of changed his personality a little bit? That did freak me out because I was like, how is this possible? That should have been happening when he was sick. Do tell me down in the comment section below. The links are in the description box, so you guys can click on that. And I'm Kimmy Chun of Anime Legends Podcast, and I will see you guys later. Bye!